Hey guys, and welcome to a potentially three-part, mega episode here where we interview Devon. He's the guildmaster, co-GM, recruitment officer, and a raid leader for a NA guild called Knights of the Alliance, and they have a a whopping 8 raid teams within their guild. And today we're gonna go over and chat with Devon and just see how that thing runs. So we'll get straight into Devon and let him introduce himself.
All right. Yeah, so my name is Devin. I am the recruitment officer, co-raid lead, and co-GM of Knights of the Alliance, which is a North American guild. We're considered a mega guild. We do have 8 raid teams that are currently running, 5 that are mythic, 3 that are heroic. And our basic premise of who we are and what we do is we were wrapped around the game of World of Warcraft. However, what our major commitment to is the military community and veteran community. That's kind of who we tailor our entire experience for. It was that niche of individuals.
See, and it was eight eight individual raid teams that you currently run, not by yourself, I assume, but with
Right.
the team you have
Yeah, so
already.
we have 8 raid teams. We started off very small. We've been around for a very long time. Been around since Vanilla WoW. And we started off as a family guild. It was my parents, my 3 older brothers, myself, my 2 little brothers, my little sister, my uncle, my aunt, and my cousin. We all just started a guild just because we needed something to do in guild. I'm sorry, in game for a guild. So we created it, and we started raiding and burning crusade. We started kind of branching out outside of just our family, and we've just been raiding ever since. We didn't actually start to become the guild size that we are now until recently, which was the end of Shadowlands, beginning of Dragonflight time frame is when we actually started kind of growing up to the size that we are now.
Mhm. That's quite a fair time though to have just like have a family guild being the sole, like, backbone of the guild. Was it like that up until Shadowlands Dragonflight when you started to
No,
expand a bit more, or was it kind of people coming and going, but they were always there when they wanted to come back
so it was
to?
it was a lot more of that second one. So we by the time
Mm,
so the way that it worked was a lot of my family was in the military. We all at different times were being deployed at different times. We were all going to school at different times. We were all doing family things at different times. And Warcraft is our way of being able to stay in contact with one another. We
mhm.
of course we would always use our cell phones to text one another, but being able to actually get together and talk and meet and do things together just wasn't possible anymore.
Yeah.
So we used World of Warcraft where we could get on 2, 3 times a week and do things with our family together to be able to kind of still have that family experience that we were no longer allowed to have. Um,
Yeah, I mean, in that sense, it's similar to just like going and grabbing a coffee with someone that that's a relative of yourself, but you can do that from the comfort of wherever you are, may that be at your house or if you have a laptop somewhere, I suppose. It could be used in that sense
Yeah,
there as well.
absolutely. I had a brother that was playing raiding with us while he was deployed over into Iraq. So like it didn't matter where you
Mm,
were, what you were doing. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you were getting online. You were going to be doing something with the family on World of Warcraft. That was just our way of being able to communicate. But we started to.
I guess,
Go
oh, sorry,
Oh no, I was
you
going to
go.
say like we kind of started to branch out from that from Burning Crusade, where we started bringing
Hmm.
people in from outside of the family to be able to help us raid. I mean, my family was great and all, but my parents are a little older, my uncle and my aunt are a little older.
Mm,
They just weren't into the same type of stuff that we were looking to do as a guild. They
yeah,
were
yeah,
there just for the social aspect of it. So yeah, we had to bring a lot of people from
yeah.
outside the guild and or outside the family into us.
When you mentioned the raiding aspect there, I was just about to say, like, you forget sometimes when you get so immersed in the progress and all the politics that comes along with running a raiding guild, you forget about the social backbone that a lot of people initially played WoW for. The like you said, just getting together and playing with friends and family and that kind of thing. Back in vanilla, I'm sure. I mean, mythic raiding for a start wasn't even a thing until Mists of Pandaria. So like, there's you hear all these people, the stories of people having weddings and all that kind of stuff in WoW. It really kind of takes it back to that original time, I guess, of WoW,
Yeah, absolutely.
which is interesting to hear about because there's not too many guilds that are still about. I mean, there's a few, but you don't hear about too many of them that have been around since vanilla.
Yeah, we would go through, so when we really started to get really big before a lot of our life commitments got a hold of us was in Wrath of the Lich King, right? Like that was the heyday of
Hmm.
Warcraft to begin with. But
I
we
mean,
were
yeah.
going in with two 25-man raids into heroic ICC, allowing us to be able to kind of really do those things that we were wanting to do and be able to have multiple groups running at the same time. Uh
That's still 50
yep,
people though. That's
yep, yeah, it
insane.
was
Even at that point in time, that's still a lot of. That's a big
yeah.
team. Yeah, yeah,
And it was difficult too. It was difficult content. Like, I mean, we say heroic now, and most of us, most of us that are rating
yeah,
Mythic are
yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of giggling
I mean,
about it. But
it meant a different
yeah,
thing
but
back
back
then,
then
didn't
that
it?
was that
Yeah.
was the top notch. That was the highest raid you could do was that 25-man heroic raid. But so yeah, we were in there. We were in there, kind of doing that. Back in those days, Lightbringer, which is the server that Knights of the Alliance is based off of, or based out of, is that was the highest populated, or one of the highest populated alliance servers in the entire world. We were a huge alliance guild, obviously by the name, right? Knights of the Alliance. But we
Mm.
like that was the draw back then, was the one of the servers. If you wanted to play alliance, that's the server that you wanted to go to, and so it allowed us to be able to grow and do things. Now the what's to me, what was one of the hardest things was is we didn't have a lot of the tools that we have now to be able to help, like, not only guide the guild but also recruit for the guild that we had back then. Back then, it was
Hmm.
literally just me going out into Dalaran, and going out to trade chat and saying, "Hey, does anybody want to come hang out and do stuff with our guild?" I mean, we didn't have LFR. We had just gotten
Yeah,
looking for group thing during ICC, so it wasn't really, it was used, but it
yeah.
wasn't to the extent that it was now. Right.
Normalized. Yeah,
And like
yeah,
all
yeah.
the websites and the discords and stuff like that, we just didn't have any of that stuff. So we had to do it all natural, just basically just word of mouth getting it across.
So like as a player myself that started in Shadowlands, way past the sort of original methods of recruitment, what was other than was it literally just word of mouth and trade chat, I suppose, or was there some forums that existed at that point, or was it literally just out on the with nothing but the shoes
You
on
know,
your feet there trying to get
I'm
people
sure
in?
there were, but I didn't know about any of them. I mean, I was a kid at this point. I mean, and by kid, I mean I was a young
Yeah,
adult,
yeah, yeah.
and we were definitely just going out. Like I said, I was just going out there to trade chat and just pushing a macro button for me saying, "Hey, we're looking for new people for this guild, and this is what we're needing." And sometimes I would get people, sometimes I wouldn't. A lot of times when I'd get somebody in guild or get somebody into the group, we would start to build that rapport, so they would bring in their friends, and it was all very natural back then how we did it.
Hmm. Yeah, sure. From just like the scale of it, so it was already. I mean, by the time ICC came around, like you said there, it was already starting to, two active raid teams. I suppose is I would say that's quite big for the more classic era of the time. But again, I didn't play back then, so I might be completely
No,
wrong.
it was
But
very large for back then. That's not very common at all. Um,
yeah, yeah, I didn't think that was the case, but yeah,
yeah, you are correct.
cool, cool. Well, I mean, that takes us nicely on to sort of perhaps we could talk about sort of the scale of the guild and its
Yeah.
current presence. So, like, in total right now, if you know off the top of your head, do you know how many total raiders you have in your guild at the
Total
moment?
raiders or total people in guild? Because that's two different questions.
Ooh. We'll go for total raiders across all of the 8 teams.
So my mythic teams, we all have a minimum of 25 people on our teams right now. We have five mythic teams. That's 125 at a minimum. But most of our teams, I think three of our mythic teams, have 30 to 32 people on our teams. As we're
Right.
going into as we beefed up going into heroic for midnight. Let's
Right. Yeah.
see. Then we have three heroic teams. Some of those teams, like our Saturday team, is not a team. It is a place for people who just want to come have a good time. Like sometimes they're regular
Mm.
raiders, they're mythic raiders that are like, hey, I just wanna. Sometimes I want to come on a Saturday and just come with an alt or whatever. Just like take a breather, relax a little bit. That's what our Saturday raid is for. Uh,
It's just a
yep.
relaxed social thing more than raid
Absolutely
focused, right?
correct. Yeah, like we have people
Yeah.
that come in there that get drunk and cause chaos, but everybody knows it going into it. So it's not like anybody goes into
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
like this is supposed to be a serious raid. What are we doing? No, it's meant to have a little bit of fun, meant to just kind of be relaxing and just get together with the boys on a Saturday if you got nothing going on and go kill some bosses. But then we also have two other heroic raids that we do that are very separate, heroic specific for individuals that are in guild. And those ones can have, I mean, right now I think they're anywhere between 15 and 30 people, depending on the raid. For those ones, so raiders specific, we're looking at probably about 150-ish people in guild that are just raiders.
150 plus or something like that
Correct.
around
Yes,
that
sir.
area. That's an insane amount of raiders. But I guess yeah, we'll get into sort of how that's split up later on. But just that number at a face value is it seems to me it's absolutely that's huge. Astronomical trying to manage that. But as you said, you've been doing this for a very long time, so I'm sure I'm interested to get into finding out sort of how it's handled and what kind of things. So just generalize, just members. How many people do you have? Do you think like active players, not including raiders, but not specifically restricted to your raiders?
So season three, the first week of season three, the Wednesday that everything came up for season three, we had about
Yeah,
200 people that were online at the same time. That was definitely not everybody because we had some individuals that just
yeah,
obviously just didn't show up for whatever reason during on a Wednesday. Like
yeah,
it just depends. But I can't tell you exactly how many members we have. We
yeah.
probably have somewhere like between 200 and 225 right now, active players.
That's still a lot of active players. I remember when I first took over the guild. The only guild I've ever been in, and the one I'm currently running. We were like sitting at around the guild cap, which was I think it's 999, but most of it was alts or players that weren't necessarily
Mhm.
active. I say maybe at the like when we were social at a peak, we had maybe I think I remember seeing 40 to 45 people coming in on Flight launch. So that was my first season, like being in, doing the recruitment and everything like that. And yeah, it's a huge, huge difference there between 45 to the around area of 200 plus
Yeah,
people that
we have to
are.
go through every month or so and remove people from the guild
Mm,
that are
to
90
do
days that haven't been online for 90 days.
90 days. So that's your a month
He,
and a half is your
that's
is that
3 months.
yeah,
Three
month and
months.
a
Three
half?
months.
3 months. Oh my goodness, sorry, yeah. 3 months is your cut off there for
Yeah, and
how
that's
often do you have people.
well, that's shrunk over time, right? Like we started, first of all, we started off with not having a limit. It wasn't until we started reaching that closer
Yeah,
to
yeah,
that
yeah.
999 limit that we're like, okay, we really actually have to start taking a look at this. We started off at a year mark, and then we shrunk it down to 6 months, and then we found we needed even more, so we shrunk it down to 5 months, then 4 months, and now we're down to 3 months. Um, and it's just
Yeah.
I mean, people have just come to understand that we go out there in Discord in our guild Discord, letting everybody know, hey, just know that there's going to be a guild purge this day. If you find that your tune has been
Right, yeah.
removed and you want to come back in with it, let us know, and we'll go ahead and get you back in.
Our kick out for the social players that do remain is it's 3 months as well. But yeah. We get a lot of when we first started doing it, I got a lot of messages from just people saying, can you reinvite me? And it was almost a daily
Yep.
occurrence at some point. How often? I'm guessing it's just constant. Whenever you do it, you're having multiple officer messages there from people asking to get
Oh,
back
very
in.
much so. We have a in our Discord, we have a a certain text channel.
There's a channel
Yep,
dedicated to
it's a text channel
it.
dedicated to that to be able to make sure that, as people are needing invites back into the guild, we've got that spot already open and available
Mhm.
to let us know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess when it's on a scale like that, yeah, Discord channel is the probably the best way to
Yeah.
optimize that. So back to the raider side of things, how many? I mean, I maybe should ask how many officers you have in total, but like, sort of, how many officers is it taking to run
Really good.
8 teams,
Hold
that
on
kind
one
of
second.
thing?
I gotta actually look this up real quick. So I know for sure every one of our mythic teams have two raid officers attached to it. The reason why we have it set up this way is that way it's always redundancy for us in our guild. Like that's a because our guild is a military background. We always make sure that we try to follow a lot of the structures that we have already dealt with while we were in the military. So the redundancy is you'll notice here is a real key thing for us with this guild. So we have two people that are always going to be on every single mythic team. That ensures that if one of those officers is not there, the team doesn't all of a sudden collapse and fall apart for either that day, that
Mhm.
week, or in general, right? Like we will always have somebody there to be able to handle taking that team forward and continuing that team forward for no matter what's going on. Um, so there's always going to be two per mythic team. Our heroic teams currently two of our natural heroic teams, the ones that are not just the hangout ones, both of those have two
Right. Yeah.
raid leaders as well. Those are in our guild, those are called junior officers. Okay, those are not full-fledged officers in our guild. Those are
Okay.
people that are just running on the heroic teams. Okay, from there, the people that are considered senior officers outside of just the mythic teams, there is my older brother who is currently the GM. Then there are three additional spots that are held by anybody that's in within guild. Those three spots are the bank officer, the Discord moderator, and the recruitment officer. Currently, the bank officer is the only one that is currently being used by somebody that is not also a raid officer. So, for example, I am the
Right. Okay.
recruitment officer in my guild. I do both recruiting and I run my raid at the exact same time. And so that is how like that like so theoretically, if ever I was to hang up my cleats and we would need somebody to fill in that role. And it doesn't have to technically be a raider at that point. It could be two separate individuals. It's the same thing with the Discord mod. My
Mhm.
my co-raid lead right now is the Discord mod for the entire
Right. I
guild.
see.
So we kind of double up on those things as well. But like I said, I mean, so that right there, so that's 10 people plus an additional three potential for the other ones plus four. So there's 14 full-fledged officers that are within our guild. Those are called senior officers in guild. But then we have junior officers as well. These are the individuals that are take on a lesser role within the guild. So the senior officers, they focus on guild-wide things. That is their entire shtick. The junior officers focus on something very specific within guild. So, for example, we have an events lead, somebody that just kind of does different types of events. We have somebody that does
Yeah.
transmog coordinators. It's just events for stuff like that. Uh,
Right.
Recently,
Yeah.
with the adding of housing, we've added an HOA event coordinator. So people that want to be able to do that type of stuff, they have something. There's somebody there to be able to help kind of plan those events for them. We have Mythic Plus
Yeah.
PvP leads. We have all of our heroic raid leads in this junior officer role, and then we also have like major guild crafters. So guild crafters that are consistently like not only there for everybody that needs them, but also has all the crafting on all of their tunes. Um, and so that's
Right.
kind of where we put
So
those.
the crafting is just they're given officer roles that are. I mean, not everybody that does crafting, I'm assuming, is given
Correct.
an officer role, but these guys, yeah, they have all of their tunes have
Yeah,
um
and these like that's
maxed out.
theoretical for our team right now. We just went through a guild rank restructure where that
Mhm.
those roles, some of those roles haven't been filled yet. And usually the
Right.
major
Okay.
guild crafters, those are going to be like maybe one or two people. And the reason why we have those ones set up is if we need to pull something from the guild bank, with those individuals can go into the guild bank, pull out what they need for the guild bank,
Right.
and they can kind of do what they need to using the guild bank resources.
Would they be like assigned to each raid team, or would it just be a general one-stop shop for all your crafting stuff? You pop it in, and when they hop on, they just go through the guild crafting orders and ba you know,
It
bash
just
through it.
depends. I have some people that are assigned to specific raid teams. So for example, I mean, my Discord mod is a jack of all trades, right? Like, so he also handles all of our crafting for flasks and potions and all of that stuff. I so like
Yeah.
he does all of that stuff for us. But we have other individuals that are in guild that are literally all they do is just crafting. That's what they like to do. They do a little more than that, of course, but like that is their major thing. They get on, they do some crafting, they learn some more they get some more crafting points, they do what they need to do for crafting, and they get off for the day. Our like we
Yeah.
are a raiding guild, but because we don't focus on raiding, we focus on the community of the military and the veteran community. Everybody
Mhm.
meets that requirement is welcome into our guild. It doesn't matter what they do and what's going on with our guild.
Yeah. They don't necessarily have to raid to get in, basically. They could do anything for that sense. You just want to be part of
Correct.
that
Yep.
social
Yes, sir.
community, yeah.
So right now, like it
Hmm.
looks like, so we have four. So I think we have 10, 11, 12. We've got 12 people as senior officers. And then for junior officers, I've got 5, 6, 7. I've got 8 people as junior officers right now.
So it's 20 in, if my math doesn't fail me, 20 in
Correct.
total then. See that? That doesn't sound like an extremely large number, honestly.
It's not.
I'm guessing if it's has been really optimized, then it works, I
And
guess.
that's the thing, is like we were able
Um,
to really condense it down here recently when we did the guild rank restructure.
what was it beforehand, if you can
Yeah, I remember
remember?
it perfectly. It was basically anybody that we deemed needed to have an officer role got an officer role. There was no there
Right,
was no
okay.
real rhyme or reason behind it except for the fact that we were just like, "Hey, this person is doing something within the guild. Let's go ahead and give them an officer
Mm,
role." And sometimes it worked out,
I see.
sometimes it didn't. And so I
Yeah.
mean, like, it was very it was very much like we didn't know what we didn't know at the time, and we were just trying to
Yeah.
get the right structure in place.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Did it take many iterations, or like sort of
Oh God, yes.
how long did we
So I we started talking about the guild restructure, the get rank restructure, probably about 6 months to 9 months ago, somewhere around there. And I was
Right, okay.
consistently having officers come to me and say, "Hey, like this doesn't make sense. This is wrong. We need to make changes here." And my brother is notoriously, like, he is a very slow turtle, and he does not make changes unless it is absolutely needed. And so I had to, like, over time, over the over a couple months, my officers finally wore me down because I'm a little more open to those types of things. And so my officers would
Yeah.
come to me and say, "Hey, we need to do this, we need to change this." And eventually I got to the point where I was like, "Look, guys, I'm on board with this. Let's start looking at what we can do here." So I went to my brother at that point, was like, "Hey, Greg, we are definitely needing to have a rank structure here. We need to set something up so it is comparable to what everybody already knows from the military. Let's go ahead and kind of like get everything set up in a place so that it is good going forward into the future." We weren't at nearly
Mm,
as big as we are now, and so we need to change things. We need to adjust with the times. He agreed. We started working on it. We've spent probably, like, between all of my officers and my time, we probably spent about 100 hours working on the rank restructure, making sure that everything was set into
damn.
place. I put it out there. Initially, I put it out there to all my officers. If you had a perfect rank structure, what would that look like? And all of
Mm,
them would give me their ideas. I put out my rank structure and what I would want. I then presented my rank structure to the because we have an officer meeting every other week on Mondays, and I put
okay.
it out there to my officers. I was like, "Hey, look, this is, in a perfect world, this is what I would do for a rank restructure." And everybody hated it. They all dogged on me and said that it was just a horrible idea. What am I thinking? Like, whatever. And I don't take that. I am an individual that thrives on constructive criticism. So the fact that they
Yeah,
were
yeah.
willing, comfortable, and willing to give me all that constructive criticism, it made me feel good, right? Like I was okay with that. I was comfortable with it. And so I started working on it and reiterating it with it. I started getting ideas from other people. I started seeing where some of my officers were putting out PowerPoints on what they wanted to do, or PDFs on kind of what they wanted the rank structure to kind of look like. And we took bits and pieces from each one of them. So it started off with mine, then our heroic raid lead at the time was what the term was called. His name is Tim. He runs our Saturday raid, the non-serious raid.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He put out what his rank structure looked like. And then at that point, then I had another raid leader take that rank structure and kind of reiterate it and add a couple things to it. And that one was done. And then we then switched to my Discord mod, who then took that one and added a couple things to it as well. And
Right. It's just kind of like pass the
yep,
parcel, passing it
yep,
down the line, letting everybody add their own little
correct. And then at that point,
things
yeah,
to it.
at that point we got together, we started talking. We had a good framework in place. Now we actually needed to actually work on the details. So we went in there, we worked
Right.
on it. I'm telling you, when I say that we sat in Discord for hours upon hours talking about this, I am not kidding you. Um, but we worked on it. Everybody worked really hard. Some people won some battles, some people lost some battles. There were some people who didn't like the way that certain ranks were going to be set up. There were other people who were like, no, we need to have this rank structure this way. So like it worked out. Like I said, some people won some people lost some. Either way, that
Yeah.
everybody got to have their voice heard. Everybody got to have their abilities to be able to voice what they wanted to have the rank structure set up as. And we ended up passing it a couple weeks ago to where we are. That's where we are now with our new rank structure.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like yeah, that amount of planning is just necessary for. I struggle to just like in my head. I can see the guild. Like I'm in the guild Discord and I'm having a look, but like it doesn't. It's so like well organized that I can't visualize the actual size of this thing that you're running. It's both impressive and intimidating at the same
Well,
time. To even think about how you would
the
approach it.
Discord, like
Um,
realistically, so the Discord is a. It started off my Discord started off by my one of my older brothers. He no longer plays the game, but he started off creating this Discord. It was very simple, very basic, but he had some background in doing some of this stuff, so he added some really cool features to it, right? Like he'd add some of the
mm,
bots to it. He would do research. He'd figure out what he needed to do. We started like it was he started adding some stuff to it. When he left, we then promoted another individual who has a background in coding and stuff like that come in, and he took over Discord, and he did a fantastic job with kind of adding new things to it, adding his flair to it on what he wanted to see our Discord look like.
mm,
And then finally, the our current Discord mod. So we ended up that individual ended up leaving guild. And so we had our new Discord mod, who is my co-raid lead, step into his position, and he has organized the crap out of our Discord. Like he is very much like everything has a place, and we're gonna put everything in its place. And he
yeah,
has
yeah,
done a
yeah.
fantastic job at it. On top of the fact that he's gotten it so like the there was a lot of concern a while back because we were growing so much that whenever we would ping somebody, we would ping 1,000 people in Discord.
Yeah,
um and the concern was, is God, how many people are we going to lose because we're having to constantly ping these people. um
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
what we ended up doing was, is we created certain roles for certain people, to break it down. So we were allowing people that did not want to receive all of these different pings to be able to opt out of those pings and still remain within the community.
Yeah,
Um, and so they
yeah,
could
yeah.
continue being part of us, to continue doing what they wanted, doing what they were already doing within the guild, but they didn't have to see, come in on the early morning and see
Yeah.
15 different pings that had been pinged out there for them.
I mean, talking about pings, I could guarantee you, I swear, more than half of my raid team have the server on Discord, the Discord server on
Mute.
On mute. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, we had the
Uh,
same issue for a while. Like that everything ping was the way we were getting in contact with everybody, but you could just turn people. You could just mute it. You can just turn people can just turn it off.
yeah.
And so eventually we're like, okay, look, there's information that we have to get out to people. Just doing it to everybody, especially when we've got a bunch of people within our Discord that aren't in guild. We've got 1,000 people in
Yeah.
Discord. Well, actually, I think we've got 1,200 right now. People in Discord. We can't just ping everybody anytime we need to get information out. So let's go ahead and try to clean this up and make it a little easier for everybody, so we're not having to bother
Yeah.
everybody all the time.
Set it down into sections and that kind of thing. 'Cause I mean, if you use that everyone all the time, people are going to stop taking notice to the potentially important messages that you're putting out there if you are just sort of blanket using it every time there's some announcement. But yeah, for
Yeah, you
sure.
got it.
So like, yeah, going back to the officers, I didn't really didn't think 20 sounded that amount. It doesn't sound big considering the size of the guild, but when you put it in perspective, that's 20 officers is a whole mythic raid team of just
Yeah.
officers if you put it
Yeah, I
that
mean,
way,
you put it that
which
way,
is
yeah, absolutely. But
it kind of put it into visualization there. Just yeah, that is actually quite a lot.
Yeah, and that was one of our concerns, and one of the big things that my officers were coming to me with whenever we were expanding, which was, hey, we really can't just keep on bringing people into or new teams in the guild, and then immediately turning them into
Mm,
officers. Like number one, we don't know who some of these people are, so we can't just give them all the officer rights to begin with. But also on top of that,
yeah.
like what happens when all of a sudden, I mean, I do not want this to happen, but like what's going to happen when all of a sudden we have 30, 40 raid teams that are running at the exact same time with two officers
Oh my
each?
goodness, yeah.
Like we're talking 50, 60, 70, 80 to 100 different
Gonna
officers
have a
in guild.
average guild's worth of officers.
Like that would be unsustainable, and it would also make it so when we are trying to get information, like one of the major problems, and I'm sure you've run into this, one of the major problems with running a guild in general, just not even a larger guild, is
Just
communication and
communication.
getting that information that you need to be able to get. And
Yeah.
having that many people be able to be able to talk to you and give you all of that information, it just filters out at some point. Like at some point,
Like we have
you have too much information.
sorry, carry
No,
on.
you're fine.
Like yeah, I've got 4 officers, which is still quite a lot in my opinion um for the size of our guild and like a roster of 20, 25 on average. And yeah, communication is definitely hard to get a certain message out to everyone, and have them understand and know what that message was within a certain time frame. So I'm still trying to figure out a good way around that other than making everyone turn their notifications back on. But maybe it's just a point on our end where we need to. I mean, I have got one solution that's kind of fixed it. So like previously, my DMs were full of a mix between normal chat and guild chat and that kind of thing, and trying to communicate what I needed to my officers was near enough impossible. But we've put in at I think it was the start of Manaforge or maybe halfway through last year, we put in a ticketing system and then created a single ticket for every one of the raid members, and basically it's treated as a server side DM. So anything that's like the only people that can read the messages is myself, the officers, and the raider that the ticket's for, and everyone. Yeah, you just treat that as a server side DM, so it keeps my DMs for them asking me if you want to do Mythic Plus or something, or extremely personal stuff. If you don't feel, if the raider doesn't feel comfortable sharing something in there, they can still message me there. But yeah, everything like guild related or raid related is um put into these DMs now that all the officers can see, and it's yeah, it's saved my DMs and it's made communication between the general ongoings of raid and what people's situations are a lot easier than it was previously. It's probably the best iteration of what
Well, we've also
we've had communication
yeah, like
wise.
one of the things that my Discord mod did when we started running the current Discord mod. He went through and created areas for each one of our teams, right? So each one of our team areas, we
Mm-hmm.
have an announcement area. Like we have a generalized guild announcement, but we each team has their own announcement area, which makes it so nobody else is allowed to speak in there except for the people that have access to it. Everybody sees it, but they can't
Yeah.
talk in it, so that we don't lose the announcement. right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Then we also have a team leadership chat where it's only people that are in the team leadership. I've got team healer chat where it's only healers and team leaders that
Mhm.
are in that chat. I've got a generalized just team chat. I've got raid attendance. I've got log channels. And then on top of it, I also got add-ons and weak auras. Of course, weak auras is no longer a thing, but what add-ons that were required back then, and then
Yeah, yeah.
guides and strats, along with voice chats both for the raid chat in general, along with the officer chat as well. So like that's
Mhm.
each and every single raid has that inside of it, which allows us to be able to,
Yeah.
if somebody isn't on, so my team is called Team No Mercy, right? TGM, right? If somebody isn't on
Mhm.
TGM in guild, they can literally just mute everything on TGM and they don't have to worry about seeing it. Like,
You don't have to worry about anything else.
correct. Like
Yeah,
all
yeah.
they have to worry about is their own specific team, and they won't have to miss. They don't have to go through and mute the entire server. They just simply just
Yeah.
they get attached to their team, and everything else is
It's
muted.
just turn off the channels that they don't want to or are not a part of,
Yep.
really. Yeah. I see. I mean, yeah, it does look very, very professional. I might have to steal the bits and pieces that are relative for my own my own guild where applicable, if that kind of thing. But yeah, no, I mean, it's crazy that it just even nothing to do with like your guy's ability in that, but it's crazy that it just functions in general. That amount of people is
It's a lot.
it's still to me it's still a crazy idea. Yeah, yeah. Did you ever like expect it to get this big
No.
or
God,
what?
no. No, 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 no. Like
Yeah.
we were sitting at one main team, which is our Tuesday, Wednesday team, my team, TGM. One team and then we had the alt team on Saturday. All the way up and through Shadowlands. Like that was it. Um, it wasn't until people started to get word about who we were and what we were doing, which was
Mm-hmm.
we didn't care. The big thing about our guild is we don't care what you do. Like you can do whatever you want in World of Warcraft. You pay your sub just as much as we do. What we care about
Yeah.
is are you the same community that we come from? That military, that veteran background, those that family background, the first responders, we take in police and firefighters and EMTs and doctors and those people that have schedules that are just absolutely terrible, those people that can't always commit because they may be deployed next week, those types of people that are great
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
players but they're always getting kicked off their teams for whatever reason, right? To be able, because they just can't commit to a set schedule. So we just felt like, I mean, like it was too much for any one person to be able to try to find a team that would allow them to be able to do that. So our goal when we first started branching out into this was let's just start bringing in all these people. Like they're good players, they're good people, they're the type of, there's a lot of people that don't understand our community, the veteran and military community. Let's bring those people in so they don't have to try to hide who they are. I am like, I mean, I am notorious for swearing every other word. I'm very proud of myself for not swearing so far in the interview. But like the like I am notorious for it. Like, but in normal places, in people outside the military community, that's frowned upon. Like people don't want to hear that all the time.
Mm.
We've had people leave guild because they felt that we
Wow.
were
Okay.
swearing too much, or we were saying things that were inappropriate in terms of like
Yeah.
talking about like our military experiences and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
so we didn't want to like, and we're fine with that. Like, look, our guild isn't always for everybody. Like, it's not. And so what we
Yeah.
did is we wanted to specifically focus on only that military, all that veteran, that first responders type of people, those people that are just all the same type of culture that we felt we can kind of communicate with best.
Yeah. Like in the UK, I mean, like I said, I've not really had a look around many other guilds, but yeah, swearing's it's just part of the language in most part. And I'm Scottish, particularly, it is very much part of the language. I think I slipped up once, maybe this video, but yeah, it is. That's just not. It's not a
Yeah.
thing. We have a ban on it, like your general. general
Of
rules and
course.
stuff when it comes to social
Yeah.
stuff, like racism
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that kind of thing, of course, and a few little other words in that here and there that we've added in just to keep things
Civil.
differentiating, yeah, civil and differentiating from toxic to banter, if that makes sense. But yeah,
Yeah.
I can definitely see people for sure um, coming to that conclusion. Maybe like yeah, if they're just not used to that kind of culture, then it could
It was
probably
shocking. It's jarring to
yeah shock a few
Yeah,
people. Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah,
like, we never expected it to get this big. Like, I mean, it was like once we started
yeah. Of
growing,
course.
it just kinda took on a life in of itself, right? Like, so
I
go
mean,
ahead.
if anyone tried to like on purpose try to make the guild that you have now, I can see them failing in any possible. I don't think you can make a guild this big on purpose.
No,
Like,
it's gotta come naturally. It really, really
it
does.
has to come naturally. Yeah.
And I mean, my team leaders, my officers are always joking around and making fun of me. Every time come to them with saying, "Hey, I've got something I need to talk about," the first response is almost always, "Oh, we're bringing in another raid team." Like, I mean, like that is consistently the joke with the officers. And I mean, it's just sort of organically happened that way, right? Like, so we had
Yeah.
the way it ended up happening in our guild is we had it wasn't a split, it was just there was a group of individuals that were kind of done in the second season of Dragonflight, where they're like, hey guys, like, we're done playing the game for a while, we just want to go like relax, we've got done with AOTC, we're just done. And but there was another group of us that were like, no, we want to keep going, we want to try to progress into mythic here. um
Mm.
so we let that team go, and they were some of our best players. They were amazing people, amazing players, good friends of ours, officers within the guild, right? Like, they were good people. And so what we ended
Yeah.
up doing is we just continued on without them, right, for the season. But then the third season came and they came back, but we can't bring those people in. We've already got a whole nother team that's set up and ready to go. We
Yeah. You can't just
right.
replace people that have been with you all season. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So what we ended up talking to them about, they were like, hey, look, this is going to happen again. We don't want to do 2 nights a week. We don't want to do all of the really sweaty type of stuff. So why don't you guys just like create a 1 night team that we'll see how far we go. We'll get heroic. We'll push into mythic, I guess, maybe kind of sort of. We'll see what we do. Um, and
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
just kind of a 1 night. That was the whole shtick. It's 1 night team, and we're like, all right, cool. Let's make it happen. Let's see where you guys go with it. They started it. They did really well. And we just kind of started to expand from there. It was really just people just started to hear about the guild in different ways. And because there are so many veterans and military members and first responders out there that are looking for a guild
Mm.
similar to ours where they can be themselves, and also if they have to take off for a certain amount of time, they're not all of a sudden going to find themselves without a team, yeah,
Guiltless.
guildless, without a team, somebody to be able to
Yeah.
raid with. And so because they started coming in, I had to find a place for them. I had to start looking for figuring out teams
Yeah.
for these people. And so one by one,
So
we just started getting
yeah.
more and more teams in here, and we did best we could at the time.
Have you ever like almost absorbed a raid team from somewhere else, like a large
Yeah,
portion from people that were looking
yeah.
to? Yeah. What was like the largest amount you've taken in one and put it, or has there been a whole team that
We've
you've
taken
just
in an entire guild before.
absorbed?
One of our mythic
Oh
raid
my
teams.
goodness! My
Yeah, one
goodness!
of our mythic raid teams, Unyielding. They're great people. They come from a great culture. They were very similar to us on our server. That they were struggling with recruiting. Whereas that's my forte. That's what I'm best at. I am very like that is what I am
Hmm.
known for both in and outside of my guild is recruiting. And so I was just started talking with the guild leaders, and I was like, they were struggling to try to find people, and I was like, hey guys, I see you guys are on our same server. This is back when servers were only
Yeah,
weren't
yeah,
cross
yeah.
realm. And I was like, hey, I see you guys are struggling. If you need anything, please let me know. I'll try to help you out as much as I possibly can. And that just started a relationship between us and this other team. Um, and we just worked with them over time, and I kept in contact with them. It came to a point at the end of first season of War Within, where they're like, hey, we want a place to be able to go. And I spoke with them. I spoke with their team. I spoke with their guild leaders. Everybody was on board. And we brought
Hmm.
them in as a separate raid underneath our team, which was fantastic for them because you every team has this where
And
you
yeah,
have half of your team wants to push keys and do alt raids and do things on off raid nights, but then you've got the other half of the team that only want to raid log. That's all they want to be able to do.
yeah,
And so what this allowed them to be able to do is those people that wanted to do all that stuff, they weren't losing on their team anymore. They weren't losing those people to other guilds because they now had a guild that allowed them to that was large enough where they could just kind of do things with the rest of the guild, and then those people that wanted to raid log, all they could just raid log. There was no harm in it.
yeah. Kind of just best of both sides for
Yeah.
the absorbing guild, I suppose. Did the leadership
Yep.
come over, or was that?
Yeah.
How did that? Were they just? But did they just integrate into
Yep,
leadership,
they
or
integrated it.
what
They
kind of thing
integrated into
happened?
our leadership. They are currently raid officers. The way, because of course the way the system worked back then is everybody that came in, every team that came in was granted two officers in guild because that was just like any raid team that it was got two raid officers. That's the way we did it. We
Mm,
grandfathered them into having three raid officers because they had three officers in their guild prior to. And so we allowed for them to have those three individuals be raid officers at that point. And so
right.
like we did a lot for that. But I mean, other than that, yeah, they've integrated very, very well. They're a great group of people. They've mostly stayed intact as a unit. Although I've brought in some new
Yeah,
people for them to kind of work in with their team. But they're
yeah.
mostly intact as a unit coming in from their old guild.
Very nice. I mean, yeah, that's just. I mean, if a perfect absorb was ever going to happen, it would probably sound sound something like that. Um, we had like ideaed with the option when it came around. We had one. I think we had two offers quite early in our switch up from social to mythic to either combine or absorb. And I wasn't too keen on the combining. I would rather have
Mhm.
absorbed, but they never ever came to fruition. Nothing came of them. They were just, I don't know.
Yeah.
The officer team was quite against it, and I'm quite glad we didn't do anything like that now because I don't know what path it would have
Well,
ended up on.
we've actually
But
had three
that's
different raid teams, larger groups, other guilds combined into ours. Uh,
mm,
so the Unyielding was one of them. Then we have one of our heroic teams, War Ensemble. They're also a prior guild called War Ensemble, um, and
mm,
they are one of our heroic teams now. And that team again is also the same thing. Like the majority of their people, all of their people came over. I spoke with them. We had really good conversations. We discussed it all beforehand, made sure that everybody was good with it on board. Their team came over into our guild, and I've just been kind of recruiting for them and building them up as a raid team for the last couple of months now.
mm. I guess I mean the next sort of topic I would want to speak on there is like our team, the team leaders autonomous, or are the teams basically their own entity, or are they sort of governed under one big rule? But before I move on to that, I just want to quickly jump back and ask two questions to
Yeah.
the overall of what we've just been talking about there. And that first one is like, I know you said you're the recruitment slash
Mhm.
co-GM, is that correct,
Yep.
officer? What does the is your brother, you said
Yeah.
that's the guild master. What does his day-to-day responsibilities look like? As I imagine they're pretty different to a typical GM
They are.
potentially.
Um,
If you have any insight on that,
yeah,
what
my
would of what you
My
know?
so the way this has always worked in my guild is number one. This is a joke, so I know that my brother's going to listen to this later. But my brother doesn't really do very much in guild. Um, but no, but for real, like the way we've always had it set up is my brother is that top guy, right? Like if somebody's having to go to my brother, I haven't done my job.
Right,
Okay,
right. I see. I see.
and if somebody has to go to me, then the people below me haven't done their job. Like, and so that's the route that we kind of played. Like we want to make sure that he is like, there are very few people that actually have communication with my brother as the GM outside of the officers and
Right.
outside of his own raid team. My brother's function is to manage the officers. That is what his entire role is
Right.
within the
Okay.
guild. So I mean, obviously, but keep in mind, we've got 20 officers, right? You mentioned it earlier. Like, that's as much
So
of a
he's the
as a mythic raid team right there.
yeah. So he's the officer's
Correct.
officer, if that
And
makes
and
sense.
on top
Yeah.
of
Okay.
that, the people that tend to want to be officers on a raid team in guild are those people that have those egos, those
Hmm.
those larger than life personalities that they've got big ideas and they're grandiose and they're perfect and these ideas are great and they all want to be able to do all these ideas. Well, traditional people within a guild just don't have that. They just want to jump online, play a game, do whatever, blah blah blah. So I
Yeah.
don't have to do as much managing of those people. I have to my brother has to manage all of us. Like, and that's sad for him. Like he has to manage all of us to deal like all of these big personalities, all these big things he has to deal with. And sometimes it works out great, sometimes it doesn't. But in the end, we always come together and make sure that we are doing what we
Yeah.
need to.
It's very, very different to what my my day to day looks like, for sure. Um, I mean, working like from the top down in that sense, I don't know if it makes too much sense in our guild structure situation, but for sure there is roles that are hand. You know, it's more of just what's the word,
Yep.
delegation. This is what we do, but I'm still very, very involved in the day to day things. Like all of our rages are in direct communication with me, you know, on a weekly basis and that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
See that each one of
But
our teams have
I
that.
mean, I think your brother has to operate it the way that it's operated for it to for his own sake. Um, you know.
Ironically enough, so like I am the reason why I'm considered the I take care of all the day to day within guild. That is what I do.
Okay.
That is my role. As the co-GM is I deal with all the day to day stuff. Like that is anything dealing with individual raid teams or getting people invited into guild or just taking care of Discord, making sure Discord is being managed and that my Discord mod is doing what he needs to be able to do, like all of that type of stuff. That's all day to day stuff. I handle all of that stuff. My brother, he
Mm,
deals, like I said, he deals with all of us as officers and make sure that we are doing what we need to be doing. Because ultimately, that's what really matters. Like, because we have so many different teams and we have so many different raids underneath our banner, we have to make sure that, like, one raid team isn't doing something they're not supposed to be doing, or like an officer isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing. My brother is the one who manages all of that stuff, and because, like I said, because
right.
it's dealing with all the personalities, he gets to deal with all of that crap, not me.
Cool. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. It sounds like it's structured very well, which will lead on to I've got a question further down of when does it potentially when does the structure turn out to be more like a company, I suppose, than a guild?
Yeah,
But we'll
yeah,
get
yeah.
to that one. The next one, just to finish up this sort of section, is what breaks first when you scale past one team,
Communication.
if you can
Yeah,
remember back.
communication.
Yeah,
Communication,
for sure.
100%. Because we had no idea what we were doing back then. I mean, we had a thought process of kind of
Battery
how we
critical.
wanted it to look, but
Hmm.
looking at it on paper always looks better than it's actually going to be in real life. Um, and so communication was the major, it's still the major sticking point between us and the other officers, right? Like, so you've got 20 other people that all have their own thoughts and feelings and experiences and dealing with all of these different things that
Charging
they have to deal
battery.
with both within their raid and also within real life. And that communication is the first thing that's always going to break down, where it really starts to harm morale sometimes. But then you just have to take a step back. You have to remind everybody, hey guys, we're playing a video game as adults.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need to
Yeah,
take
yeah,
life so
yeah, yeah.
seriously here. And then they usually come around and they're like, yeah, okay, you're right here. Let's go ahead and move on here.
How easy is it though to get yourself lost in that sort of cycle and then come back a day later and be like, yeah, okay. You take a step back and you know realize that it is at the end of the day it is a game, but it is more than that.
It's the real
But
World of
I
Warcraft
know what you
here.
mean.
Um,
Yeah.
but no, it happens.
But when you do come across
It
when you come across those like social issues and that, it does. Yeah, you do have to take a step back sometimes now and then and think about what it is that's happened and what you're doing
It
about it.
happens consistently. I mean, like, just think about this guild restructure, rank restructure that we had to do. Like, that was a tough thing
Yeah.
for us to be able to go through, to be able to convince everybody that hey, this is what we need to do. Some of our officers at the time ended up losing their ranks within guild, and they were
Mm-hmm.
no longer like they would drop from senior officer, what we consider senior officers now, down to junior officers, or
Mm-hmm.
lost their rank altogether, right? Like, so they're no longer officers in guild. Um and we had to convince everybody like this is like to be able to keep us moving forward as a guild and be able to continue to do what we need to do as a guild. Like these are things that we have to look at and how we have to change. And so that communication key part was key during this rank restructuring, but it didn't always happen, right? I'm a human being, and sometimes the way that I word things and so the way
Mm-hmm.
that I say things is
Yeah.
gonna be wrong or messed up, or somebody's not gonna like the way that I say something, and it's gonna piss them off off of how we actually like to be able to convince them to continue on doing what I want them to be able to do and how I think things need to be able to be done. I didn't care when the rank structure was happening. I didn't number one, I didn't want the rank structure because I didn't think it needed to be didn't need to be done at first.
Mm-hmm.
After a time, I got convinced into it. But once I did get convinced into it, I didn't care what it looked like. I did all I knew going into the rank restructure when I started going through it was it needed to be done and everybody needed to be on board with it. Those were the keys that
Yeah.
needed to be done. And once
Those were two boxes that needed to
Yep.
be
And
ticked.
so
Yeah.
once we started working down that path and we started having that communication where everybody's voice was being heard, we were allowing everybody to be able to offer whatever opinions they had about anything that they wanted for anything. Like that was when not everybody agreed with the final product. I had one person, my Discord mod, when we got down to the final votes on whether or not we wanted to pass this rank restructure or not, because we truly do go through and do a voting structure on major things like
Mm-hmm.
this. But when we got to his vote, he's like, "Look, I'm 90% there. Like, I think this is a really, really great start, but there's like 10% that I still think that we need to look at and change." And at that point,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I knew that we were ready to go. Cause like not everybody was gonna get everything that they wanted. We were going to
Right.
have
Yeah.
we
Yeah. Yeah.
nobody was gonna be at 100%.
I mean, you'd be
So
stuck there forever if you were waiting for that perfect
correct.
100%, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
once I knew that we were at that point, that 90% where everybody's like, yeah, let's do this. I was like, all right, we're calling the vote. We're gonna go pull it. We're gonna pull the trigger and we're gonna get this started. We wanted to
Nice.
have it in place for midnight.
Cool.
That way it was a new expansion, new rank
Yeah. Yeah.
structure
Makes
ready to
sense.
go. And so we wanted to make sure it was ready.
I think the way, yeah, in the way that Blizzard does their big changes is also a nice time for guilds to introduce larger
Large changes.
changes
Yeah.
as well, because it's a fresh start for everyone, and it's yeah, for sure a good time or good planning position for changes like that. If other guild lead masters are watching this, if you do plan to do a massive overhaul of something, try and align it with a new expansion. It will typically go ahead or go smoother than if you were to implement something mid tier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just going on to back to the sort of the raid team structure and that. I can't remember if you touched on it or not briefly, but are the teams, so maybe explain a little bit about how the teams are managed. Are they all under one sort of generalized rule, or are they centralized? Do each raid leader or pair of raid leaders for each team have their own control and say in what happens and what the rules are and expectations and how that's all set?
Yeah, so we believe in a very federalized system within our guild. Every team's completely autonomous from one another.
Right.
We have rules very specific. Let's so very briefly, we have rules set up to ensure that if you can't poach from another raid team in our guild. There is no
So
hierarchy.
these are guild wide rules,
Yes,
right?
that is correct. Yeah, these are guild-wide
Yeah,
rules
yeah.
that we're talking about right now. And there is no hierarchy in terms of guilds here. We do have two guilds, excuse me, two teams that are cutting edge teams. That's what their goal is. That's what they're pushing for. That's what they're going to be getting.
Mm-hmm.
Those teams, I don't care how good of another player is on another team, they cannot go to that team and poach that player at all. Like that is
Okay.
highly, highly discouraged within guild. Like that is a huge, huge no-no for our guild. Like that person is on that other team and they will remain on that other team. Now, once a new season comes, or if an individual has a scheduling conflict, so they change work schedules or whatever, then that individual can search out for a new team within guild. But other than that, like the team that you come in with, I will recruit you new people if you need new people. But we're not going to be poaching people in guild. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's a recipe to be able to get people like super just angry at each other, um,
Yeah,
and
for
and
sure.
start fighting. But that being said, every one of our teams is completely autonomous. They come up with their own rules, their own structure, everything. Our rank structures, our the guild rank structure. I know I keep coming back to this, but it's the way we set this up is we have like three rank structures that are in the middle that allow for teams to be able to decide whether or not they want to give people within their teams those extra ranks or not. So for example, right, we have team raid leads
Right.
that
Okay. I see.
include healing raid lead, tank raid lead, DPS raid lead for each team that could do it, but you don't have to. We have one team, DDT. It's our one night raid team. They don't have any of that stuff. They're not going to be going down the path of having healing raid leads,
Right. I
tank
see.
raid leads, DPS raid leads. They're not going to have anything like that. My team, I only have a healing raid lead. That is all I have on my team. I skipped out the other two because I just didn't find that my team needed to have that. Whereas other teams went
But
head in and
the
took all of them.
but the authority and permission, sorry, the authority and permissions are there for the raid leads if they want to use them,
Correct.
right, and utilize the
Yes,
tools
sir.
and stuff. Right.
Yep, and
Okay.
then, like, there's another rank that's right underneath that we call, that's like a senior raider. So somebody who's just, like, constantly doing what they need to do, they're checking over their logs, they're doing good DPS or whatever, right? Like, the idea behind it is somebody that's really good in raid, that team's leadership has identified that person as being a good player or whatever they define that as. That person is a good
Hmm.
player, that we have a rank structure set up so that they can promote that individual. So later on, if they're needing a healing raid lead or a DPS raid lead or whatever, their first stop will be looking at this group of people that they've already promoted, and they can then put into that
Right.
leadership role, and it just slowly snowballs from there, right? So raid, those raid leaderships, those healing raid leaderships can potentially become a raid team leader, or well, et cetera, and it goes on and on and on until, like, it just gives it that rank structure, that progression potential for somebody that's in guild.
For sure. So there's no like company ladder that raiders climb. You apply slash join the team that you originally signed up for, and you either stay there if you're happy, or if something like conflicts or a new season starts, and maybe you want to. I mean, if a raider starts off in a heroic team and then eventually finds out they maybe want to go for cutting edge and they have the credentials, and they just apply? Do they get in contact with that specific raid leader, or how would that happen? Like I said, but there's no company ladder. There's no progression internally, and where you start here and then you do a little bit better and then you get promoted. It's like that doesn't
No,
happen.
that doesn't happen. So again, like, the way that works for
Yeah.
us is we have, like, if you join say somebody joins a heroic team, right? And they start off on the heroic team, but slowly but surely they're getting comfortable. They're getting used to what they're doing. They want to join a mythic team. Um, at that point, they have to wait till the next season, and then they can apply for that mythic team.
Yeah.
That mythic team, 9 times out of 10, is going to have a couple spots open, and so
Yeah.
they apply for a mythic team, whatever mythic team they want. It could be the cutting edge teams, it could be the lower end mythic, it could be the mid mythic. It does not matter. They could apply for whatever team they want to do. That team then has to accept them. So if somebody
Yeah.
applies for their team and they're like, "Hey, we just don't think that you have what you want, what you're looking for yet. We're a little
Yeah.
bit
Yeah.
further than what you are." Well, then they have to look for a different mythic team that they're in guild to be able to find. Or, you know,
Yeah.
I have a person on my team. So I am a end mythic level. So this last season we got 6 of 8 mythic. We had about a month and a half break, so we probably could have been 7 of 8 mythic by the end of it, but we chose to take a break.
Hmm.
And we have a player on there that's easily probably a Hall of Fame healer. That he is
Right.
an
Okay.
amazing player. He could easily be part of our cutting edge rating teams. Um, but he likes our team. So he
Yeah.
he likes to hang out with us. He likes to do that type of stuff. So he's going to be there with us for as long as he wants to be.